Hello, everybody, and today we are in conversation about the senses that we have in our body. I've already covered four basic physical senses, then the middle senses, which are used to help us to know our environment better. And so, the middle senses, we have the sense of touch, the sense of speech, the sense of your eyesight, the sense of hearing. These are five of them which help you to understand your environment better. Right now, I'm going to be talking about spiritual senses. There are three spiritual senses which I will be covering. The first spiritual sense is the sense of speech. The second spiritual sense is the sense of thought. The third spiritual sense is the sense of ego. So let's understand all of them. So, what's the difference between hearing and speech? Hearing means that my ears are hearing a conversation. They are hearing sounds, but they're not necessarily making sense of what is being spoken. So when I'm hearing something, I'm just plain hearing sounds. I'm not probably making perceptions of what I am hearing. I'm not hearing the words practically and making sense of it. Now go back to the time when you started learning a new language and you sat down and heard people out. And when they were speaking that new language in front of you, how did you really understand what they were talking? Or how do children really understand when they've never been exposed to a language as to what that language really means? What are we doing? We are repeating the word and repeating a gesture with it back again, or when we are noticing. So I remember the time when I didn't know Marathi. I just moved to Mumbai and I was a little girl of 10 years of age. And at 10 years of age, when I'm looking at people talk in Marathi or even English, I wasn't very familiar with both the languages. And I would notice how people are talking. I would notice what their body language was. I didn't necessarily understand it all, especially with Marathi. English, I still knew a little bit. But when it came down to Marathi, I was actually looking at their body language. I was actually looking, what are they saying? I could understand whether people were happy or whether they were sad, whether they were rejecting me, they were accepting me. And that I could understand not just from the words that they spoke, but from the gestures that they made along with it. So a speech is never one thing. A speech is number of elements together. It is what is being spoken, the tone with which it is spoken, and how I am perceiving it, and the body language that goes with it. Often people will tell you who are reading body languages that every word, everything that is being said is creating micro moments in our body. In fact, when you do fast photography and you capture people right up to zero point zero 0.05 milliseconds, you can actually pick up that every word, that is, every consonant, every vowel, will create a certain kind of sound and will create certain kind of micro movements in our body. These micro movements in our body are not just being heard by our ears, because our ear takes the signals to the brain, which is moving down our spinal cord and then into our whole body. Can you imagine and can you now understand that the speech actually is not just listened or heard by your ears? It is carried through the whole musculoskeletal system. So when we talk about vibrations or words have a meaning or words should be taken into action, every word actually has a resonance which is going to impact your musculoskeletal system. And this in further is going to impact what you're going to do, how you're going to register it. I have a dog in my house. Her name is Luna. She's a golden retriever. She's beautiful. And I had never connected to animals before. But animals cannot talk, and yet they talk. And how do they talk? They talk with their body. A simple example, if she lies in front of me exposing her stomach, which is the most vulnerable part of the animal, because in the wild, the animal will never expose its stomach to you. Why it's not exposing its stomach to you? Because that's the area which can be snatched and can be eaten up. And when I'm talking about her, she's actually barking in the background, and you can actually hear her voice. So she's really connecting with me right now that, oh, I'm talking about her. Reality is that she gives me her stomach to rub on, which means she's telling me that I trust you completely. Can you imagine an animal talks? An animal talks without the words, because you don't understand what their barking is. Like we've interpreted so many language, we haven't sat down and interpreted what their barking means, but we interpret what their gestures mean. So the gestures are carried by your eyes, and hearing is done by your ears, and this hearing is going right up to your musculoskeletal system. So I would say the sense of speech is when you're making interpretations about the gestures which are there in the body, and the words that are being said, the way they are being said, how they're making you feel, and the micro movements that are happening in the body. Let me explain a few micro movements when I'm talking. What if somebody is talking to you, and every time they say the word mom, they close their eyes? Every time they say the word mom, they close their eyes. They don't want to see something that's happening with their mom. So these are repeated actions that are happening in our body, and we are somewhere not looking at them or giving them importance. But I would say that it's so beautiful to watch that speech is body language, body gestures, micro movements that the body is making. The whole skeletal system is taking that input. Your ears are taking the input of the vibrations of the sound, and along with that your sight is looking at the gestures that the other person is making, and all that put together is the sense of speech. So the speech interpretation will help you to understand the language and help you to understand yourself better. Thank you so much. Keep tuning in and keep watching.
Help Talks are daily health related talks held at Health Education Library for People, Mumbai, India. For more information visit www.healthlibrary.com. Subscribe to Help Talks channel. Be better informed about your health.